Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hudi Community Sync today for January 24th, 2024. And today I have joining me Sandeep from the AWS team. We'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started, but if you're tuning in, it'll be great to let us know where you're tuning in from. Sandeep, where are you tuning in from?
Yeah, I'm in sunny California. Today's a rainy day. Not sunny anymore, at least for today, but it's good. The lakes are getting filled up. Um, though we are here to talk more about data lakes. We definitely like the lakes.
Yes, I think I feel like a lot of people across the country are getting a lot of lakes this time around, with the rain coming in and stuff. And I'm also tuning in from Seattle, so a little bit up north. So Sandeep, do you go to lakes often, like in the summer, or you just stay away clear?
The beaches are the favorite part. Yeah, so the good part of being in the Bay Area is we do have a bunch of good beaches here, and then the SoCal beaches are not too far, just a few hours drive. So yeah.
What's your like favorite beach to go to? I feel like we're talking about summer and it's the winter. That's how much we're looking forward towards the summer again. But yeah.
Yeah, I think there are some cool beaches near Santa Cruz area. So I like to go there. Particularly, I mean, Santa Cruz tends to be a little bit more crowded, but there are smaller beaches nearby, which are which some of which are really nice, and sometimes they're very quiet too. Uh, and great for if you are into the like boogie boarding and things like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. So we'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started. I think we have a minute or two and then we'll kick it off. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them on the LinkedIn comments, and we'll always follow up on the comments. Or you can also join us on the Hoodie Community Slack, and we'll be able to follow up there as well. All right, let's get started. So today we'll be going over the community stats, and then I'm actually going to pass it to Sandeep for his talk on the AWS Glue crawlers. And if you have Q&A again, feel free to ask him on the LinkedIn comments, or you can also follow us on the Hoodie Community Slack, and I'll share that in just a minute where you can uh, follow up there as well. So let's go ahead and go over the community stats. So for the community stats for between December and January, we've had over about 75 PRs, and we also had a minor release with 0.14.1, which is basically some bug fixes and stuff from the 0.14.0 release. And if you're curious to know more about the minor release that we have, if you go to the Hoodie community and you go under downloads, you'll see the release notes over here, and you can follow up there as well. And then for our community, we're almost close to almost 4,000 Slack users, and we've grown quite tremendously. And we're almost just crossed just below the 5,000 GitHub stars. So if you like and use Hoodie, please star us on GitHub as well, and I'll show the link for that. We have just around 32 contributors who landed PRs this month, and we just talked about the 0.14.1 release. We are working towards a 0.15.0 release, and I'll share more details in the next community sync for February. Here's information to join the community. Again, if you like and use Hudi, please start us on GitHub, and the GitHub link is right there. And we also have our docs, our blogs, and then if you scan the QR code, that will bring you up the Hudi community Slack, and you can feel free to ask questions there. We also host weekly office hours every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So if you have more questions or you just want to learn more, that's a great way to tune in. We have PMC members and myself that are able to help answer your questions. And then without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Sandeep. He's a senior technical manager, product manager at AWS. And as he mentioned, he's based in California. And he works with customers around the globe to translate business and technical requirements into products that enable customers to improve how they manage, secure, and access data. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Sandeep. So let me go ahead and close this. If I can stop my screen share, and then I'll pass it to Sandeep. There we go.
Are we good? Can you see my
Yes,
screen?
yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Nadine. Yeah, I'm Sandeep. Thanks for the introduction. Really excited to talk about the initiatives that we're doing in analytical services in AWS. I work on several initiatives, including Glue Crawler, Glue Catalog, Lake Formation, that work across many of the AWS analytical services that include Amazon Athena, Redshift, EMR, SageMaker, etc. Hudi is important to several of AWS customers, and as you can see, there are many Hudi users on the Hudi community Slack who use AWS, and so we are really excited to talk about some of the new features that we recently launched to support the Hudi community. Okay, so let me just give a high-level view about the end-to-end support that we do for the Hudi community and Hudi Data Lakes. The different layers, as you can see here, there is a storage layer, there is a catalog and governance layer, and there is a consumption and processing layer. The storage layer is, I think everyone knows about it. Amazon S3 provides very highly durable, scalable, cost-effective components that you can use to store and manage vast quantities of data. In this talk, I'm going to focus kind of more on the middle part here, which is the catalog and governance layer. The new things that we introduced as part of this layer, which we have already seen traction from the Hudi community on using that. And this layer is really about how you can store metadata across your data sets that is hosted in the storage layer, provide permissions on top of it, and that can be used by the consumption and the processing layer on the top. As you know, you are pretty familiar, the Hudi community is pretty familiar with the EMR and the Glue, which provides a processing layer that you use for transforming data into consumable states. It provides a number of things for validation, cleanup, normalization, transformation, enrichment. And then the analytical services such as Athena provides the consumption layer for querying and optimizing performance to access all your data that is stored in your Hudi Data Lakes on Amazon S3. So this is the end-to-end view. Regarding the middle part, which is where we're going to focus in this talk, is like, okay, why do you use that particular layer of AWS with the Hudi Lakes? And the key part here is really it provides you ability to centrally govern, secure, audit, and share data that can be used by in analytics engines, as well as machine learning and other purposes. And here I give you like 4 reasons why you should consider it if you haven't already. First is you get a way to discover the data through the AWS Data Catalog. And that means you now have effortless way to make those data that you have in the Hudi Data Lake, make it available to all Amazon analytical services that include EMR, Redshift, and also has the built-in integration with several third-party engines. The second part is the Glue crawler, which is what we recently launched. It provides you an effortless way to manage schema partition updates, and particularly it fits into the architecture that we see is getting more traction, which is basically a data mesh architecture. And in the case of data mesh architecture, you may have multi-account system, you may have catalog in different account than where your storage is, and that's where you want to kind of have this effortless way of keeping data where it makes sense while keeping catalog where it makes sense. It could be in totally different accounts, and how effortless way of managing that schema and partition updates. The third reason is really is data lakes get really huge. Many of our customers have petabytes of data. They need a single place to manage data lake permissions, and really the other part of permissions is ability to share it, right? So the reason the permissions become important is because now you have a capability to share it with your users, with your accounts, with your regions, and share exactly what you want it to be shared. Like you want to share certain parts of the information with them, which can be governed. And the governance comes to the last part, which is you now have governance, which is really fine grained, and that means you can provide these permissions, which is similar to database style permissions, but at a level of granularity at table and column and row and even cell level, right? So we go one level deep into each of these, and then I will go over a demo, and hope the demo guard helps today. And we'll go through and walk through a demo of all of these. All right, so the crawler that we recently launched is, as you can see here, it has now enhanced support for Hudi tables. And that means you can create and schedule crawler with the option to create Hudi table, as you can see on the screen. You just have to provide a path to the Amazon S3 where the Hudi Lake tables are located. And with each crawler run, the crawler inspects, catalogs the schema information, partition information, such as updates and deletes to Hudi Data Lakes, and catalogs it in the Glue catalog. The crawler does support both types, copy on write, merge on read. And I can go in a little bit of more detail to show the demo on merge on read in this case. If you are using some other catalogs like Hive store crawlers allow you to easily migrate to the Glue catalog. It has a support for scheduling. Anytime the changes happen, it has a way to do the schema and partition. And the key part of it is integrated with lake formation permissions. I'll go in a little bit in detail in that, but as you use the permissioning mechanism of lake formation for your data lakes, the crawler is integrated with it, so you don't need to come up with separate bucket policies and rules. So in general, the crawler removes the heavy lifting when it comes to the cataloging part, and that forms the basis for you for permissioning. The Glue catalog is definitely one of the most popular metadata store. I see it every day on AWS, but even across the systems. The reason our customers like it is really it makes it much easier to understand how your data is stored in the data lake. It provides you like a database and table abstraction. So you don't need to worry about buckets and folders and use the terminology of tables and columns. It's completely serverless, and it's very cost effective. You make a million API calls and you don't get charged anything. And above a million, it's just a dollar cost. So it's a very cost effective way to store technical metadata. You can store up to 100,000 objects without any cost, right? So it has unmatched durability, availability, scalability across all the regions that AWS supports. And so it helps you kind of build the data lake and then have this single source of technical metadata truth. And so that once you have the data catalog here, it is automatically available across number of tools, third-party tools, and AWS services such as Athena, Redshift, that you can now go and quickly perform analytics on those data. Similar to Glue Data Catalog, Lake Formation is actually a free service. There's no cost to the APIs or monthly that we charge for Lake Formation. But the key part is not really whether it's free or not. It's really, it helps you remove the need to maintain the complex data lakes. You don't need to worry about how do we manage the bucket policies, or I'm principal and policies, and how I can come up with these policies for granting access to certain users, certain accounts. It does simplify the data lake permission management. So it uses, again, the database style fine-grained permissions on the same data catalog resources. And the key part is the stack I showed earlier, going across S3 and all the way to the consumptions and engine layer. The permissions that you apply in Lake Formation apply across the data lakes. That means the analytical engines such as Athena, EMR, Spectrum, Glue, SageMaker, they're all integrated into Lake Formation permissions. So as you apply permissions, those gets enforced across all these engines. And similar to Glue Catalog, it provides this fine level of fine-grained permissions on the abstraction that the Glue Catalog provides. So you can say, okay, for this particular user, I want to give this access to this table, but for this, I want only access to certain columns. And for this third user, maybe certain rows, and maybe like for a fourth user, only certain cells in those tables. So you have that really fine-grained permission layer that's possible. And then there's a scalability aspects that's available through the Lake Formation tags integration as well. All right, so now it comes down to the demo part. So I'm going to switch from here to the demo part. So before that, just quickly what we are trying to do, right? So here, the first part of any data lake is you have data engineers who's going to write this Hudi files on the data lake, in this case S3. For the demo, I already written it, so it's already on Amazon S3, but you can use any of our analytical services such as EMR, Glue to do that, and the streaming services as well. The part where the second layer comes into picture is now you have a way where the Glue crawler has launched to support for Hudi, so you can populate that table definitions. It's available in the catalog. And now we have also added support for AWS Lake Formation for Hudi across the engines. That means you can now have permission support on the things that you cataloged. And that means you can use the Amazon Athena and other engines like Redshift to query data lakes, but you only see what is you're allowed to see. So the demo use case we'll go over is we'll start with the Hudi data table files. We'll crawl it, get it in the Glue catalog, and then we'll start adding the level of permissions and use those permission mechanisms and use those in Amazon Athena. So that's the plan for the demo. So let me switch from here to my console here. All right, so let me just go and if you can see, are you able to see my screen, right? So in this case, I have these Hudi tables that are stored here. As you can see here, that's the step I already did. I'm going to go in the crawler part, and let's go and create a new crawler. I'm just going to call it Hudi crawler. So the part where you now have ability is in the data source. You can add this Hudi as a data source. You need to add the S3 path, which you know where your data is. So I can just copy the S3 location, add it in here. So there is other aspect, which is here. There is a maximum traversal depth. So you have a way to where you can traverse across the S3 path and go and specify the depth. Um, it's optional field. If you don't specify, it takes it as a 10 depth traversal. So let's go. In this case, I already created a role which is a Hudi role. Now I want to use the lake formation permission because I want to apply. I want to make it easy to use it across data lakes. So I'm going to use this lake formation configuration. It has a couple of things. So as you can see here, here in this case, I'm going to just use it in my account, but you can go and use it across different accounts. You can specify different accounts, which is very important as you go in the data mesh scenarios. So in the case of lake formation configuration, I want to make sure that this crawler role has access to those tables, right? So I'm going to go next. So in this case, I need to create a database. So I'm going to add a database here. I'm just going to call it Hudi GP. So this is it's already there. So I created this Hudi DB table. Right now it's empty. Let's get that here. All right, so I'm creating crawler created a new database using that as a target database. And then I provided a role for it to populate. Since I'm going to use lake formation needs explicit ways of permissioning. So in this case, I want to make sure that the role I created has access to so that it can basically create a tables, create a database. All right, so let me go and select the role. In this case, I'm going to go and select the table that we just created, so Hudi table. So this is part of the lake formation permissions where you specify exactly what roles or users get access. In this case, the crawler needs to go and should have ability to create a table. So just for demo, I'm just giving the super access just to make it a little bit easier. And I'm also I'm also going to give access to Hudi role for the same database. For all the tables as well. All right, so now I have provided, I created I'm creating the crawler. I use lake formation permissions. I provided roles so that it can go and scan through the files. So I'm going to create the crawler here. All right, and then run the crawler. Okay, so while this crawler is running, the key steps the crawler going to do is, since we provided the access to this S3 data lake, it's going to look at multiple things. So it's going to look at the structure of the Hudi, right? That's the way it can go and get the metadata information. It will look at how the data are structured. Now you can see here there's a couple of folders here, and then there are the Parquet files in it. So there is this category electronics, there is category furniture, and there is the Parquet file under the hood. So that's how my Hudi data is stored in the Amazon S3. Okay, let's see how the crawler is doing. Still going through this. And then what the crawler does is going through all these based on the depth of the S3 data files. It goes and goes through and understands the depth. And then ultimately, if the crawler runs good, it will populate the table, the partition, and information in the Glue Data Catalog. All right, so now it says it's completed. Let's see what it did. So it added two tables. There is this MOR table, read optimize, and then there is the basically two tables. It in this case is added. One is underscore RO, which is read optimize, and then real time. And there's a couple of and there are a few partitions it added. The best thing is to just go into our Glue catalog and see what it did. So let me refresh it. All right, so now you see that there is read optimized table. It's added, which is using this Parquet input format. As you can see here, it did also showed the rest of the kind of Hudi information, but the key part of it is able to get all the schema information. And then it detected there are a couple of partitions here, right? So there is partitions for electronics and furniture out there. And then it also say, okay, I also have another one, which is kind of real time table. Assign this Parquet real time input format to it. And the rest of it is pretty much same. In this case, it's telling that, okay, it's not a read optimized, so that value is false, and few other things. All right, so now we have the data lake. We crawl the data lake, and now we have a good representation in the Glue catalog. So now let's do the next thing, which is okay. Now how do we go and access it? So if I have to go and access it in Athena, the first thing I want to make sure is I do have access to it, right? So I want to make sure I, as a user, so in this case, admin, I have access to it. All right, so as admin, I want to make sure that I have access to the database we created, all tables. So in this case, the lake formation permissions, you need to explicit about who to give access to who. So I can go in this Athena. Right now you don't see Hudi DB here. Let me refresh it. All right, I see it here, and I see that there are two tables that are shown automatically. Right, means that's the integration with the catalog and the engines that we have, where now it shows up automatically, and then I can go and query. I can preview the table. All right, so now I'm able to see. I'm actually able to go and see the data in the data lake and query it. Now, as you can see, when I provided permission to admin role, I provided the entire access. So I need to I gave the access to all the tables, all the stuff. But as a data engineer and as a data governance person, when I want to share it to others, I want to be careful. I probably don't want to give them access to Hudi, these kind of data. Let's say I have a user where I don't even want to give access to the price. And I want to also not give access to those rows where the category is not electronics, right? So I want to kind of, before I share data to my analyst, I want to make sure that there's certain permissions that are granted specifically. So the way in lake formation you can do that, there are multiple primitives that comes with it. I'm going to use this primitive called data filter. So in this case, I'm going to create this data filter, and I'm going to give the name just Hudi filter here. So the target database is the one that we just created. And I want to give only access to the read optimized table, in this case, to the analyst. I don't want to give access to all the columns, but rather the columns only which is product ID, name, and updated at. I don't want to give the access to all the rows, but rather only where there is they have access to the electronics. So, for example, in this case, you have category electronics and furniture. I'm going to give. I want to give the access to only where the category is electronics. So, all right. So I created this data filter. All right. So now we have this Hudi filter. And now what I need to do is, okay, I want to give access to analyst. So in this case, I'm going to look for analyst role here. I have the analyst role here. For the catalog resource, and I know I created this Hudi DB and not all the tables. I want to give access to this read optimized table. And then I want to make sure they have access to only the specific things I mentioned in the Hudi filter, right? And then they can do the select on that data set. All right, looks good to me here. I'm going to grant. So now this is granted to analyst. So let's switch and let's be an analyst. So I have another screen here, which is where I logged in as an analyst. All right, so let's just make sure I logged in as an analyst. Okay. Okay, so I'm analyst here. Let's see. I can see the Hudi DB here. But compared to admin, I can see only one table, which is the read optimized table, MR. I can only see the columns which I have now access to, which is product ID, name, updated, right? So as an analyst, I get to see only things which I have access to. And if I preview the table, I get access to only category information of electronics here. I don't get the furniture category, right? So in this case, you have ability to share this Hudi information, Hudi Data Lake, across different analysts. And as they go, the permission that you're given is honored through the analytical engines. All right, so that's the demo part. Let me just switch to the PowerPoint just to make sure. So we went through this where we walked through the Amazon S3, having the Hudi in Amazon S3, crawling it, cataloging it. We applied the Lake Formation permission, one for admin, where they have full access to queries, and it's Amazon Athena. And then we provide access to user, in this case analyst, but not to all the data. Create a data filter so that they can provide and create ad hoc queries, but queries for which they have access to. I just want to make sure the light is on. All right, so now let me wrap it up here. So I talked about Glue crawler, catalog, link formation, all that. But Hudi Lake is supported across multiple AWS services, right? So the EMR is being supported for Hudi for a long time, since its 16.15 version. Amazon Athena is being supporting Hudi for a long time as well, since it's engine 3. Now they are on engine, the newer version of engines. The Redshift is supporting Hudi, as well as the Glue, and we talked about the Glue Catalog crawler lake formation as well here. And just as a summary slide, so in this session we covered how you can, how the AWS supports the AWS Analytical Services supports the Hudi Data Lake community. We talked specifically about how to use Glue crawler lake formation catalog, and how you can query these Hudi tables using Athena. And if you want, I just want you to walk away with a couple of things. One is why you should kind of think about Glue Lake Formation. One is you want to think about it should be a single place for this abstraction for the Hudi Data Lakes. Provide that abstraction for database, table, column, cells, and then have ability to apply those fine-grained permissions. And then, and the key part of it, it provides centralized auditing. So in the when you grant to anyone, it gets logged. You have this centralized auditing capability to understand who's accessing what data and what are the effective permissions at a very granular level. And that helps you to kind of monitor your data access, help achieve compliance. All of this information, that actually the demo that I showed, it's available. We published as a blog. Thanks to my colleague Nori, who is based out of Japan. Not a good time for him to join here. Kyle, who's the senior engineer, really built much of those things. And the things that I walked through today, you can go and just go through the steps provided here and go through it. All right. Any questions that I can take at this point?
Thank you, Sandeep. Yeah, that's awesome. And I also shared the blog in the LinkedIn comments within the stream as well. And you can also find the steps by steps how to do that. Again, if you have questions, a lot of the team members at AWS are on the Hudi Slack community as well. I also post up information about the release notes and other things, as well as the link to join the Hudi community Slack. So let me go ahead and check for questions. I didn't see any questions come in right now. But I have a question. So, which version of Hudi is supported in the AWS analytical engines?
Yeah. So we the AWS Analytical Services has a release plan, which is um, for example, for EMR, we have the support for 0.14. For crawler that we launched, we have support for 0.14. I know that Athena is working very hard on getting the support for 0.14, I believe, by end of this month. So you should see a pretty good release updates from the different AWS Analytical Services on supporting the latest version of the Hudi.
Awesome. And then the other question I have is, why did Glue crawlers create? I think did it create like two tables for the MR tables?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So when the crawler run, it detected that it's MR, and so it basically creates these two tables. There's one with the suffix RO and then the one with the suffix RT. So these are like the Hudi has a way where you can have it read optimized or you can have real time querying capability. And based on that, the kind of the SERDE that gets applied is slightly different. So for read optimize, we used the Parquet input format SERDE, which again, as you query using the analytical engines such as Athena, they use that. Versus for the real time, there's a different SERDE that gets applied. And that's the reason that we have these two tables created. You have ability to share those differently to users. But the data underneath the data, the schema and partition information is same across
Yeah.
both.
Awesome. Okay, I'll give it a couple, maybe a minute or two for questions in this LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn is delayed. So if I don't see your comments, we'll definitely follow up a couple hours post once everything has settled. I should say once the data has settled. But yeah, I don't see any other questions coming in. All right. So again, if you have any more questions, follow up on the LinkedIn comments, or I'll see you in the Slack channel. And Sandeep, thank you for joining on the January community sync for Hudi. And then I'll catch you guys for next month's community sync, and I'll share more details soon about that. All right. I will let you guys go. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week.
Yeah, thanks, Nadine, for organizing this. Thanks, the community.
Yep. Thank you guys. All right. Take care. Bye.